Yamuna Tira Manachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Kunja Vihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivadikacharya Ashtotar Shata Shishima Shilaisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantarat Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Om Hare Krishna. So, wir lesen weiter von Transcendental Diary, Transcendental Tagesbuch von Harisori Prabhu über Srila Prabhupada. Wir sind in Shri Davandam, September 6. 1976. At about 4 a.m., Srila Prabhupada called Harikesh Swami and me into his room upstairs. He had just finished his writing and was leaning back against the cotton field bolsters. Cotton field, not cotton field, but cotton field. This is the bolster, this is a kissen with cotton gefüllt. So there was no managerial topics to discuss. He just wanted to preach to us. He told us, ist das übersetzen auf Deutsch? Weil wir haben hier Benny Madra und Nimai. There was no managerial topics to discuss. He just wanted to preach to us. He told us that family life is the impetus for material advancement. He said that when he was a young man, he applied to become the agent for a very large firm. The territory covered from Delhi to Benares, a large area worth many thousands of rupees. Their first inquiry to him was, "Are you a married man?" This means, he said, that they know if you're a married man, that there is responsibility. He went on to share some information about his youth and marriage. So just one interesting point here. Soll ich auf Deutsch oder auf Englisch? Was? Sie spricht hinter mir. Nicht. Okay, so Prabhupada mentioned or made a point here that if you're married, that means you have many responsibility, family responsibility. You will not be able to travel extensively, and then therefore you will not be. They will not employ you. So this was the point. So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada many times mentioned that for preaching purposes, it is better to be brahmachari and sannyasi because they are not bound by any material obligations, so they can actually just fully be engaged in Krishna's service. And we see from Prabhupada's our own movement, I mean his own movement at that time, Iskcon, he employed all these young men and women, and even then he even married them. And we were speaking the other day how Prabhupada was actually advising his disciples, instructing his disciples to get married even then, because we now think, that now at the different times, now nobody will be interested to follow the rules, but at that time it was much worse to follow the rules because there was like a very free, everything was about the freedom of sexual experiences, freedom of drug experiences, and all kinds of different freedoms. And Prabhupada was very much against this. So he advised his disciples to get married. And they did get married. And then what did he do with the married disciple? He sent them to start centers. So he knew that the Grihastas, they need to, have some kind of stability. So he said, you go there and you start a center. So more so, he sent his couples to England, which was the Prabhupada's, how would you say this? Not a revenge, but in one sense that because his godbrothers didn't succeed in England. And so he sent his Grihasta, very young disciples. This was even 1968. There was this discussion, Srila Prabhupada in Toronto. And Srila Prabhupada described, I don't know, was it 67 or maybe 68? I don't remember. When he's speaking to Yamuna and speaking to Yamuna and Shama Sundar, He's preaching to them how to preach in England when they go to England. He's giving them instructions. So he was preparing them to send them to England to start a center, which big sannyasis could not make it, although they did something. That's not nothing, but they did something very, very meager. Prabhupada sent these young, very, very young disciples to start a center, and by the grace of Shama Sundar Prabhu, who had some very innovative ideas, and he thought, how about if I go and meet Beatles? I mean, how can you come up with such an idea? Only Americans can come up with such an idea. You go to the most famous people in the world at that time, the most famous. You were the most famous. And he just went there, and he said, Prabhu was speaking how you can hear it in Memories of Srila Prabhupada, that he would go around the studio because he knew where the Beatles recording their songs. So he would hang around the studio waiting that they come out of the studio, they go to the studio from the car. So he would wait outside, and nothing happened. And suddenly, after some time, he saw George Harrison. So he approached George Harrison and he said, we are Hare Krishnas. Of course, that was obvious. Everybody was wearing, at that time, dhoti and shaved. And he said, we are the Hare Krishnas and we want to talk to you. And George Harrison said, wow, I was looking for you for a long time. So George Harrison was looking for the devotees for a long time. This is how they start connected to the Beatles. And so much so that Beatles even recorded a song, Hare Krishna. And I looked at this Hare Krishna, this song became so popular, it was #1 in many, many radio stations for a long time, particularly in Yugoslavia. This was #1 Hare Krishna mantra for a very long time. I don't know, Russia. At that time, that was not possible. Also, #1 song, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. #1 song for I don't know how many weeks. And then George Harrison suggested, let's record the whole album. So they recorded the whole album, and even one of these songs, we are listening every morning. Govindam Adi Purusham. So this is the one song they recorded with George Harrison and the Beatles, even then, the early days. So Prabhupada liked this very much. And so he said, every morning when we open the deities, this song should be played. So just consider, without this song, what would be darshan? Open it. We're banging like in India, they bang in the bell, bang, 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 bang. But here we have such a beautiful song, and this is all by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. Sorry, I have some situations here.
Actually, I was there when Prabhupada started. We went down, and we were very surprised to hear this morning program.
Yeah.
And then I came back to Germany and I told them we have to do it. We didn't want to do it. That's a surprising thing.
What interesting Maharaj actually said that he was there for the viewership. That he was there in Vrindavan when Prabhupada gave instruction this song to be sung, and everybody was very surprised. But anyways, nowadays we have all over the world, this is the very same song he's singing. And so Prabhupada was very, attentive to hear Krishna's voice in anything. So for example, he would pick up, like for example, this. He thought, let's do this. And now we have instituted all over the world. So we have a Jayarada Madhava before the lecture, all over the world. Then we have a Sunday feast. Sunday feast, Srila Prabhupada started because Kirtananda at that time, I think Keith was still not in, or maybe was initiated. He told him that because this Keith or Kirtananda came from the Christian family, and his father was a preacher. So he said every Sunday in the church or the church community we have a love feast. We invite people to have a feast together. We eat together and speak about Jesus. And he asked Swamiji if we can do this in this temple at that time in New York. The Prabhupada said yes. So this now became traditional Sunday feast all over the world. Everybody's celebrating Sunday feast. Everybody's like inviting people, cooking prasadam, having kirtan, having lecture, and so on and so forth. So Prabhupada was very attentive to see, and this whatever he instituted, this is going on even now. He set the standard, which is I thought very interesting. Anyway, so this is what I wanted to say about this. I have to repeat again. The Srila Prabhupada says that he wanted all the members of all the young men on Iskcon to remain brahmacharis and later on to take sannyas, and all the ladies to be married. So then the devotee said to Prabhupada, how is this possible? How can everybody, all the men remain brahmacharis, all the ladies to be married? And he said, you are managers, you have to figure this out. You have to find it out how to do this. And this is the reason. It's not like, you're against this or you're against that. The reason is that if you have a brahmacharis, if you have a sannyasis, the preaching is much more effective. Because the brahmacharis and sannyasis have no other business except speaking about Krishna and distributing Krishna consciousness. So therefore, this is the most like a practical thing. And we see even nowadays, in the places where even we were reading about Ramanujacharya the other day. Anybody remembers how many sannyasi disciples that did he have? How many brahmachari disciples? Something like 60, 70,000 brahmacharis and 13,000 sannyasis disciples. That's many disciples. Imagine you have 13,000 sannyasis coming from Bharati. That would be nice. Or 60,000 brahmacharis. And he had, they said, unlimited, not unlimited, but a large amount of grihastas. Large amount. So this is like a lot of power, preaching power, the disciples of Ramanujacharya had. Anyways, this is all I want to say about Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, would you like to comment anything further?
When Harvard started the last feast in New York, I understood that he did call it love feast because the hippies, they were all into love.
Yeah.
This love, flowers.
Yes.
They always said that this was the reason.
Yeah. Love feast.
Anyway.
But interesting enough, love feast at that time meant sabji dal. We see the videos, sabji dal, rice, chapatis. They put sabji, they put rice, and they stack a couple of chapatis and everything. There was a video with Ketananda's distributing this. And then at best they had some gulab jamuns as a sweet or halava as a sweet. That was, nobody was making cakes at that time.
And without these preparations, were all powerful. Sweet rice, halava,
Yes.
goodies, powdered sugar. Simply wonderful.
Yes.
It is continued. Nowadays,
Yeah, even when I actually joined, we had our Sunday feast was sabji rice, puris, and halava, and sweet rice, halava and sweet rice. This was the sweet. We didn't make anything every Sunday the same. Halava, sweet rice, puri, sabji. Puri was always there. Sabji was always there. Matar paneer sabji we made.
many devotees became devotees.
Yeah.
I'm one. I went to the temple, became late to the Sunday feast. And they were already taking the prasad. They gave me prasad. I liked it so much. I started coming to the temple. Then they told me, well, when you're coming to eat every day, why don't you have something? That time I had the money. They taught me how to make chapati. First service I did.
Oh.
And pilot of Japan.
The devotee said this, as Prabhupada called them, this Iskcon bullets, gulab jamuns, you know. So Prabhupada would have this in front of one temple. You can read this something in Prabhupada Amrita. In front of the entrance of the temple, here was a jar full of gulab jamuns. So he says sometimes people, you know, they come for the program and then before they leave, they will all take, like everybody can take one or two gulab jamuns. Gulab jamun was a big time sweet at that time. There's also this description in when Prabhupada was visiting Australia and he was talking to some very important professor. And this professor, after finishing the talk, Prabhupada says, now this is prasadam. So prasadam with something else, I don't know what, and then gulab jamun. So the man took gulab jamun, he bit and his whole fell on his suit and tie and everything. But anyways, he liked this, so he took it. Anyways, this was some prasadam katha. Now we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from 6th canto, 18th chapter, verse 47. Shri Kashyapa Uvacha. Shri Kashyapa Uvacha. Na Kinsyad Bhuta Jatani. Na Shapen Nindritam Vadet. Na Shapen Nandritam Vadet. Na Chindyan Nakaromani. Na Chindyan Nakaromani. Na Sprishedya Mangalam. Na Sprishedya Mangalam. Shri Kashyapa Vacha. Na Hinsyad Bhuta Jatani. Na Shapen Nandritam Vadet. Na Chindya Nakaromani. Na Sprishedyam Yad Amangalam. Na Hinsyad Bhuta Jatani. Na Shape Nandritam Vadet. Na Chinyana Karomani. Na Sprishedya Mangalam. Ladies. Shri Kashyapa Vacha. Shri Kashyapa Vacha. Shri Kashyapa Vacha. Nahisya Bhuta Jatani, Nashape Nandridam Vadet, Yadamangalam, Shri Kashyapa Vacha, Kashyapa Muni said, Nahimsyat, must not harm, Bhuta Jatani, the living entities, Na Shapet, must not curse, Na, not, Amritam, a lie, Vadet, must speak, Na Chindyat, must not cut, Nakaromani, the nails and hair, Nasprishet, must not touch, Yat, that which, Amangalam, impure. The translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Kashyapa Muni said, my dear wife, to follow this vow, do not be violent or cause harm to anyone. Do not curse anyone, and do not speak lies. Do not cut your nails and hair, and do not touch impure things like skulls and bones. Purport. This is an interesting instruction. Do not touch bones. Kashyapa Muni's first instruction to his wife was not to be envious. Interesting, Prabhupada uses all this, violent, harming, cursing, lying. He takes this all together, lumps it one as envious. Kashyapa Muni's first instruction to his wife was not to be envious. The general tendency of anyone within this material world is to be envious. And therefore, to become a Krishna conscious person, one must curb this tendency, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Paramo Nirmat Saranam. A Krishna conscious person is always non-envious, whereas others are always envious. Thus, Kashyapa Muni's instruction that his wife not be envious indicates that this is the first stage of advancement in Krishna consciousness. Kashyapa Muni desired to train his wife to be a Krishna conscious person, for this would suffice to protect both her and Indra. Apagyanatimirandasya Ginanjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadama Yandadati Swapadadikam. This verse is dealing with something we don't have. Jaya Shishi Gonitai Ki Jaya Vijay Garanga. This is called ethics. We have ethics. This is there's so many big, thick books on ethics in the Western world. How to behave properly, what is good, what is not good, what is the nature of good, how should one act properly. And in our Krishna consciousness, or basically in the Vedic culture, the ethics must correspond to the Shastra, to the scriptures. And this is one of those, we can say, ethical instructions here. Do not be violent or cause harm to anyone. This is we call this ahimsa, not non-violence. So this is one of the things in India is famous for ahimsa, non-violence. But then on the other hand, we see that Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita was instructed by Krishna to be violent, which is like a little bit contradictory here. So basically, the ethics in our, you can say, Vedic culture, Vedic society, very much depends on the instructions of the Shastras, and particularly, ultimately, instruction from Krishna. In the case of Arjuna, the Krishna gave him personal instruction: you should fight because you're a Kshatriya. And he gave him very good philosophical reasons, and some of these reasons are that the nature's own way, the destiny is all these soldiers are already killed. So there's nothing that you can kill now. They're already killed. This is number one. And second of all, your desire to be non-violent is actually just because your attachment to these particular bodies, because bodies are perishable anyway. So this is some very interesting and deep, you can say, description of the ethics. And the third one is you have to do your duty. It's your duty. Duty to not just to the society, everybody has a duty to the society, particularly you as a kshatriya, you have a duty to the society to protect the society on the religious basis. And you have duty to perform, you can say, God-given right to be kshatriya. So you have to. This is all these arguments that Arjuna at the end. Of course, there's 700 verses, a little more elaborate, but this is the basic, the reasons, some of the basic reasons why Arjuna was in. Krishna put Arjuna in this situation, explained to him why do you have to actually be violent. So, and in this here, we have instruction of Kashyapa Muni. We know in the Vedic culture, the husband is called Guru Patni. He's a guru of the wife. He's supposed to be advanced, so much advanced that he can actually give instruction like this to his wife, Diti. So, my dear wife, do not you to follow this vow. He gave us some vow. You have to be not violent and not cause harm to anyone. So this is like the first basic things as the Hare Krishna devotees. One devotee asked Srila Prabhupada once, while Arjuna was instructed by Krishna to fight, how do we know there's a war? Nowadays we have different wars. If this is instructed by Krishna or inspired by Krishna, and Prabhupada says this is Kali Yuga, both sides in any war go to hell. It's like when you think like this, oh my God, always both sides are going to hell. Because it's a Kali Yuga. It's both because both sides, you can say, in this conflict, their intentions or whatever, they're based on irreligion, and therefore they will not be the best destination. So do not cause harm to anyone. Particularly, we follow this, and there's a we are vegetarians. We don't. We follow the basic four regulatory principles, and one of these four regulatory principles, we don't eat certain things. We don't eat fish. We don't eat animals of any kind. We don't eat. We don't eat eggs. We don't take any of these things. Which actually, if the whole world will follow this, there'll be so much less violence in the world if people will follow the regular principles. So not causing harm to anyone. And even if you do cause the harm, because we have to cause harm by eating, broccoli, whatever we eat, the vegetables, but they're still living entities we offer to Krishna. So it's nullified or purified. So in that sense, actually, we do not cause harm to anyone. So don't cause harm to anyone. Do not curse anyone. This is interesting to me because just recently I got my phone stolen, and I was thinking I should curse this person, stole my phone, and I had a particular curse. But then I was thinking, actually, devotees do not curse anybody. You can see in the Bhagavatam there are some curses and counter curses. May you become this or may you become that. But these are great sages, when they curse you, this is a bad thing. But in the Hare Krishna movement, we're coming in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we do not curse anybody. We can see that this is interesting, actually, just one side point, because in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's one verse where Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami explains the rules of the grammar. And I said, let's see if I can find this. Prabhupada quotes. Here, this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila 880. Between the former rule and the later rule, the later is more important. This is a grammatical rule. So if you have a former rule, and the later rule, the later is more important. So this is the one of the answer, because we have our shastras, so many different instructions, and even previous acharyas. But Prabhupada is the latest acharya. So therefore, whenever we have some conflict or thinking what is proper thing to do, just look what Prabhupada has done. The latest acharya, the later acharya is more important. In this case, like a cursing, for example, we don't see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a later scripture than the earlier scriptures. Sorry, we don't see the curses. When Ramachandra Puri came to Jagannath Puri and he wanted to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a junior to him. He was a much senior devotee. He was a sannyasi, and he would look. He wanted to eat lunch together with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he would see how much Lord Chaitanya is eating. And he said, after eating, he said, "I see. Now I understand. I've heard that your disciples are eating too much. That you and your disciples are eating too much, and now I've seen it myself." And then he started criticizing Lord Chaitanya. What kind of sannyasi you are? You're eating too much. Because Lord Chaitanya's movement is, as it is now, is known as a prasadam, as Prabhupada said, kitchen religion. So he was criticizing Lord Chaitanya that he's eating too much. So Lord Chaitanya reduced his food. He said, from today on, I will eat less. So what did the devotees do? Did they curse him? Oh, no, they were just very unhappy, but they just didn't say anything. Very unhappy, but didn't say anything. And then Narachandra Puri came once to the hut of Lord Chaitanya, and he saw ants crawling. And he said, this is the reason why these ants are here, is because you eat sweets in secret. That nobody watches, you just eat sweets. And this is why ants, because ants, why would the ants don't gather if there's no sweets. So you must be eating sweets. So Lord Chaitanya, he reduced food even more. So devotees became very unhappy, but nobody cursed. Nobody says, may you become a duck or whatever. The devotees did not curse Ramachandra Puri, they were just unhappy. And then when Ramachandra Puri left, the Lord Chaitanya said, okay, now we can back to our normal eating. So Ramachandra left, and of course, the Ramachandra, because of this offense, he became actually Mayavadi, which is the worst curse actually you can have. From personalist, you become Mayavadi. There's no worse than that. Imagine you actually have an opportunity in this life to go back to Krishna and engage with Krishna in personal relationship, have a darshan of Krishna, in Shanta Rasa, to have servitorship in Rasa, and then on the end, or what do you speak of, conjugal Rasa, and then you decide to become Mayavadi, to preach or believe that Krishna doesn't exist or exist without the form. This is like the biggest curse you can have. So the Ramachandra Puri got this curse by the providence, of course, because he offended Lord Chaitanya and his devotees. But devotees did not curse him. This is the point. So of the two, if you read sometimes in Bhagavatam or Puranas, that somebody curse somebody, in Chaitanya Charitamrita there is no such thing. You will never see Rupa Goswami cursing anybody. So this is one thing important I wanted to mention. Do not speak lies. So we should not lie in Krishna consciousness. Again, Prabhupada used this, and he says, for different varnas, they apply different rules. Like for varna of Brahmana should not lie. Brahmana should actually not lie. Somebody asks you something, Prabhupada says one should be so simple-minded in one purpose in Bhagavad Gita. One should be so simple-minded, he should reveal his plans to an enemy. Imagine, oh yeah, I'm planning to do this now. Because he's such a simple-minded. But for the Kshatriyas, also, how can Kshatriya lie? Kshatriya can just, no, there's no. But for Vaishyas, Prabhupada says, they're allowed to lie, because this is the nature of business. If you don't lie, you cannot do business. And therefore, Prabhupada gives this famous example when you buy from him and he said, "Oh, I'll give you a very good price. For you, I make no profit. No profit for you." And you know they make profit. The Prabhupada says the Vaishyas always make profit. They always make profit. But they said, "For you, I make no profit." We learned this. We went to this Integrationskurs. Nee, wie sagt man? Kleine Unternehmenkurs? Existenzgründungskurs. Some years ago, me and Nitya went to to learn how to do business in Germany as a course. And they told us about this is interesting thing about the vergünstigte the price goes down, the sale. You know, like a scratching from 75 euros to 37 euros, super sale. But he said actually the real price is 37 euros. You know, there this alles muss raus. Like for example, everything must go in the shop. We are selling it, Ausverkauf. So they put these prices, and you think like, wow, from 75 euros went down to 35. But in reality, this is the real price. They're just making profit. So for you I make no profit. So Vaishyas it's a nature of it to lie. You have to lie. So this is the you can say some instructions. And then interesting enough, the second part is do not cut your nails, do not cut your hair, and do not touch impure things like skulls and bones. So what I thought about this is Prabhupada says here, the first sentence in the purport, Prabhupada says that one should not be envious. So basically, all these things are caused by envy. So Prabhupada says about envy in his conversation, simply thinking and imagining I shall be happy in this way and accusing others, you cannot become happy in that way, then he'll be accused. He is the cause, he is the impediment of my perfect happiness. This is envy. Envy means I want to be happy, but I cannot be happy because of you, because of you. We're accusing things, you're accusing people that we cannot be happy because of it. And this is, we know, this is actually also called lamentation in Bhagavad Gita, and it's one of the attributes of the mode of ignorance. We are lamenting, oh, I could have done something, but this person did not allow me, or whatever. We have reasons that I could have become this and that, but this particular Prabhu didn't let me, or in this management, whatever. We have reasons, but the real thing is actually we are envious. We can do anything. So Prabhupada says here, quotes from Vishnu Purana. This is an interesting quote. Vishnu Purana is, although the Supreme Personality of Godhead may be seen, glorified, or remembered with an attitude of envy, he nevertheless avoid the most confidential liberation, which is rarely achieved by the demigods and demons. So to Krishna, we can be even envious of Krishna. Krishna is so pure that actually however we come in contact with Krishna is great. So therefore Prabhupada wanted this spreading or preaching Krishna consciousness somehow or other to present Krishna to the public. Even if people are envious, they will get mercy of Krishna, because Krishna is rarely achieved even by the demigods and demons, just by seeing Krishna, even in an envious nature. And the best example of it is Kamsa. Kamsa was so envious that he would always think of Krishna. Imagine, constantly. He said when he would sleep, he would think of Krishna. Fully absorbed in Krishna. And then because of it, he got mercy, he got liberation. So even if somebody is envious, so therefore, how important is to preach Krishna consciousness? How important is to present ourselves? How important is the festivals? Because I was just thinking, we are making plans now for the summer. So many Rath Yatras in Europe. And all these Rath Yatras, Jagannath is coming on the street. The devotees are singing, the devotees are distributing books, the devotees are distributing prasadam. It's a wonderful thing. And even if somebody hates us, they think, these are Krishnas, they're still getting mercy, because even by hating us, by being envious. Such is the power of Krishna and Krishna consciousness. And so basically, all these things, these things like envy, violence, lies, these all come from the lower gunas, but it being influenced by the lower gunas. In the Bhagavad Gita, 14:17, from the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. So this is the products. All these activities there are the products of the mode of ignorance. Because in the mode of goodness, how can you lie? You're illuminated by knowledge. You cannot lie. You cannot harm anybody because you have a knowledge that this person is also a soul. You know, this dog or whatever, a mosquito is also a soul, so I cannot kill or I cannot harm anybody. And what to speak of cursing? No, you should this. You know, that means that you don't understand. You're yourself on the bodily platform, influenced by these modes. So for the last point here, let me see. I wanted to put this 264. Raga dvesha vimuktaisthu vishayan indriyacharan atma vishayar videyatma prasadam anigachati. This is on the end because Kashyapa Muni instructed his wife to actually perform some austerities. It says here, do not touch impure things, like bones. Do not cut your nails and hair, and do not touch impure things like skulls and bones. So this is basically what he is instructing her, is to perform some tapasya, some regulative principles. And this is actually, regulative principles are meant to actually elevate us, not to take us down. So this verse, what I just read, 264, a person free from attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. So Prabhupada calls this regulative principles of freedom. Because by actually practicing this tapasya or some kind of voluntary restrictions, we actually become free. Interesting enough, by bounding ourselves against the sense gratification, we become more free. Which is a very interesting concept in Krishna consciousness. So therefore, in Krishna consciousness, we do certain things, which is nothing. Again, while I was reading Ramanujacharya last week or 2 weeks ago, when was the appearance of Ramanujacharya, I read one book also, not whole, but written by his disciple, who was actually his guru in the beginning, who wanted to kill him. If you remember, Yadav Prakash wanted to kill Ramanuja. And then later on, when Ramanuja became big Yati Raj, the big king of the sannyasis, his wife, his aunt actually, pushed him, go and take initiation from Ramanuja. And he said, how can I take initiation? Ramanuja, I was his teacher, I'm much older than him. And she said, no, he's a great saint, go and take. She was pushing him. He did not want, and she pushed him, and at the end he went there. But of course, he didn't agree immediately. Ramanuja has to convince him philosophically that Mayavada is not correct philosophy. And at the end, he wanted to become his disciple. And Ramanuja said, you can become a disciple, I will give you sannyas immediately, because he was already older. I think he was 80 years old. And he told him, I'll give you sannyas. And because you made these offenses, you wanted to kill me, you have to do some tapasya, to write a book. This was the tapasya for the Brahmana. So he wrote this book, and I read some parts of it. It's unbelievable. The rules of the sannyas. What kind of rules sannyasi should follow? I mean, this is like unbelievable. This is, we call it sadhana bhakti. This what we follow, four regulative principles. Okay, we offer obeisance, so don't, with your right hand. This is like not even basic. This is like this is like most. But this, what I read there, I was, oh my God, so many details. Sannyasi must, if the If he approaches the city from this direction, he has to chant following mantras. If he approaches from the other direction, there's a different mantra. If he sees something, then he has to chant this mantra and do something. There's so many different rules, so many different mantras, so many different purifications he has to do while traveling all these things. Very complicated, really, really complicated. I was thinking, who can follow this? Who can follow this? So what we call sadhana bhakti is nothing really, compared to actual sadhana bhakti of Ramacharya's sannyasi, at least according to this book. So this is just proof that people in Kali Yuga, particularly the Western minds, are so unqualified, extremely unqualified. Manda sumanda mantayo, manda bhagya. Not even, very unfortunate, very unlucky, everything is wrong and bad. And even this, Krishna is merciful, so we can have some kind of we follow some kind of rules and regulations. And we think, oh, this is a very strict devotee, he chants 60 rounds. So this is for us is a big deal that somebody chants 60 rounds. Or somebody comes to Mangalarti, oh, it's a big deal, Mangalarti. Because even these basic things we have difficulties to follow. Most basic ideas. So this is again, but the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, again, our latest Acharya, we have this with this concession, special concession, that we can do these things. We live, for example, men and women in the ashram. In the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, we had it the other day, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Thakur's movement, Gaudiya Math, there was no women living in the ashram. Not possible, only men. So then you can say, well, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, women should not live in the ashram. I said, yes, but our immediate Acharya, our latest Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, gave this concession. So therefore, we have women in the ashram. Yeah, thank you. Women in the ashram, men in the ashram, women take second initiation. This is all, you can say, given to us by Prabhupada. So, and these are all what Prabhupada gave this few basic rules that we follow. If we follow these basic rules, by every instruction, there's a power invested in these instructions. And the power is invested if you follow these basic rules, Bhagavad programs, chanting 60 rounds, follow the 4 exit principles, taking a shower in the morning, basic things. Prabhupada guarantees. He said, if somebody is very sincere in Krishna consciousness, I guarantee, chant 60 rounds, be very sincere, offer sincere service, and I guarantee you going back to God. So with this instruction, there's a power and a promise. So this is you can say what the devotees, you can say do, instead of cursing disciples, you should go to hell, or you should be. Also, there was the other last week, we are reading about Vamanadev, that his guru said, what are you doing? This is wrong. You should not follow Vishnu. But we give the blessings. The Prabhupada gave the blessings to his disciples. If you follow this, chant 60 rounds, follow regular principles, be sincere, devoted the rest of your life, I guarantee you, you're going back to God. This is amazing. This is amazing promise. This is an amazing promise. Distribute books. If you distribute books, you're going back to God. Prabhupada says. So these promises are not in vain. The word of an acharya will never go in vain. Konteya pradijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. It's not like now, Prabhupada says, but then he didn't really mean it. Whatever Prabhupada says, we should take it very seriously. If he says one distribute books and throughout the life, he will personally bring him back to God. And so this is true. We cannot say there was this famous story, which I have to repeat again, by these transcendental brothers, Brahmananda and Gargamuni Prabhus. Brahmananda is gone to the spiritual world. And they both said, it's a long story, when they went to Pakistan to preach, and somehow there was a news in every newspaper in India, the Hare Krishna devotees, 4 Hare Krishna devotees in Pakistan were killed. So Prabhupada read this news and he was like, oh, my favorite disciple, not favorite, but his favorite disciples were killed. But somehow this was a false news. And they came back to India and Prabhupada was very pleased. And Gargamuni Prabhu said, because of this, Prabhupada told us, because of this endeavor only, I guarantee you, going back to Godhead. And he said, Prabhupada said it, I believe it. So it's like, so they were living in Vrindavan, but I was there actually. We went there with Prithu Prabhu, and he was telling me, so Prabhupada said, I'm going back to Godhead. I believe in it. He said it. So this is the faith we should have, in the words of our acharyas and the words of our scriptures, of course. The Prabhupada promised certain things, and if we follow these things, then our life will be very, very successful. So basically, this is all I wanted to say about this topic. Now, if you would, Maharaj, would you like to add something?
I was hearing conversations of with the famous monk. He also published a book. Prabhupada was a monk of the book was called Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
Yeah, Father Emmanuel, I think, or something like this.
Actually, pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's the Father Emmanuel.
And so Prabhupada was very heavily emphasizing in this discussion that the first command, rules, the Christian tradition, don't kill. Then at one point the monk says, what about grass and all this? Also killing. Then Prabhupada said, actually, we are not killing really because it's the order of Krishna. Krishna says, and so we offer to Krishna leaf, flower. Anyway, so this is when we kill, this is not killing because we offer to Krishna.
Yes.
And when Krishna gives us the order to kill, it's okay. He mentioned it, what he mentioned was that Arjuna was
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then Bhagavad says this is just like a commander in the army. He has a soldier to kill his enemies. But when the soldier kills on the street, he has to go and have a court case.
No.
Jail.
Yes. This is a very good example. Anybody else? Yes.
They cannot do things because of the bad
Envy is in the sense that we think there's some envy in a general sense. And general sense is that we think there's some other force higher than Krishna. And it is in this case, like Prabhupada says here, then one should, what is it? Where is the? No, I don't know. Where is it now? The point is that if you think, if you lie, that means that you think there's a somebody who cannot know the truth, or if you harm somebody, that means that this person, you consider this person somehow on the way to your happiness or something like this. Some animal. So this in that sense, Prabhupada used this word envy. Prabhupada used also word that Varahadev was, or some of the incarnation, Nrsimhadev was envious of Hiranyakashipu, something like this. He uses this word in this particular way. It's not like what we think. don't envy fully, but then and for us means envy. I'm envious of you. You have something I want to have. But in proper sense, is a little more broader, as it described here. You see, I mean, he uses here Kashyapa Muni's first instruction to not to be envious, and he just didn't say envy. He said, "Don't be violent, don't cause harm to anyone, don't curse anybody." So this is all considered in Prabhupada's terminology, envy, because they consider that you can get, or you can say happiness, you can get something for you outside of the source of Krishna. You think you're an illusion, that you think you can get your happiness outside of Krishna. So in that sense, you're envious. There's a little more broader term. I just read this recently, actually. The Prabhupada says this. So this is envy, how he uses the word envy. So when we think, I cannot be happy or I cannot be this, because we think there's somebody higher than Krishna or somebody on the obstacle to our Krishna consciousness. But yeah. And Prabhupada says ultimately it's all because of the bodily platform. And bodily platform is the ultimate envy of Krishna, because you want to be God, or you want to be the person who is in control, or you want to be the person who is enjoyer. But in reality, it is Krishna. So this is the ultimate, you can say, envy.
Tatsächlich hatte erwähnt, dass wenn man irgendwas unzufrieden ist, zum Beispiel, dann sagt man, das ist die Schuld des Managements oder so. Das ist Neid. Das war am Anfang der Lecture. Vielleicht habe ich auch was falsch.
Real non-violence means freedom from envy. In this world, everyone is envious of his fellow beings. But Paramahamsa, being completely given up to the service of the Lord, is perfectly non-envious. Non-envious meaning he person who is Paramahamsa, he sees that everything is actually moved by Krishna. Like we have three types of devotees: Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, Kanishtadhikari. And Uttamadhikari sees everything as made ordained by Krishna. Everything is made by Krishna, so he cannot be envious of anybody because he knows Krishna arranged this person to do this or that. I think it's a little bit more to discuss this topic, but again, we have to, in this particular case, it's how Prabhupada used this word envy. This is because sometimes Prabhupada uses, we are, living in 2025, and sometimes we think one word, how we perceive it from what it means to us, but from Prabhupada means, Prabhupada, for example, used this word Paramanirmat Saranam in the Srimad Bhagavatam verse, is a complete, persons go completely free from envy. But if you look in this verse, it's Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays in this word, Kala Prasidatam, may all the envious persons be pacified. The material world is full of envious persons, but if one frees himself from envy, he becomes liberal in his social dealings, and one can think of others' welfare. So if you're not envious, you think like for example, we had a Nityananda's appearance day last week, and Nityananda did not care, are you a sinner, he just wanted to give you Krishna consciousness. He's not envious. He just thinks like, how can I actually, he was thinking the welfare of other living entities. Something like this. Yeah.
So should we then always think whatever happens is Krishna's arrangement, meaning we don't try to change anything, we just endure our karma, we just tolerate and don't,
Yes.
don't try to improve anything, or we just tolerate what it is.
No, we should follow this gopis. What is the gopis' name? the gopis verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Patiently. Oh, you know this verse? Anybody knows this verse? One should patiently suffer I don't remember exactly this verse, but this is the famous verse from the 10th canto. But Krishna says this is the highest welfare work. Let me just find this quickly. Highest welfare work. Bhagavatam. Here. Anyways, it says the one who patiently suffers reaction of his karma while being engaged in Krishna's service. This is the highest. This is the best thing. So basically, in Krishna consciousness, we accept everything as Krishna's mercy. Tatenu kampam. Is this Tatenu kampam? Let's see. Here, this is it. Tatenu kampam susumikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam kridvag vapur bir vadada namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadhaya bhak. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy now, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances within his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So we're waiting for Krishna's mercy, when patiently suffering the reactions of the past misdeeds and offering obeisance with the heart, words, and body. So we are accepting everything as Krishna's mercy, and we don't. The point is not to accuse anybody, but doesn't mean that you don't need to change anything. Like for example, if you, yeah, this is the Krishna consciousness. Like when you distribute books and in one corner somebody harassing you, some homeless person, and you're standing in a corner, you think like, now what does Krishna wants me to go to the other corner? Because if you go to the other, maybe Maya. Isn't it sometimes you go the other corner in a completely bad day because you're mental. But then should I stay here because Krishna wants me to stay here? So it's difficult sometimes to decide. And sometimes you say, okay, this is too much harassment, and you see it. Then you just go to the other place and become really, really good Sankirtan day. So just 1 second. So yes, it is very difficult to figure out when should we be patiently tolerating and when should we just say no. But just look at Prabhupada's life, for example. He actually never gave up Gaudiya Math. He never left Gaudiya Math in reality. He didn't say, I had enough of this. I am starting my own movement. He never did this. Prabhupada he never made this kind of brush decision. I'm leaving Gaudiya Math. Now, even when he was in America, he wrote letter to his godbrothers. Please help me with Mridangas. Please help me with donations. Even when they bought Mayapur, he asked Sridhar Swami. And there was also, I think this is in the Chancellor's diary. He asked Sridhar Swami if he would like to become in charge of Mayapur project. Imagine. Iskcon would look completely different if Sridhar Swami agreed. But Prabhupada was so liberal. He said, no, you want to come? Why don't you take my charge of my Iskcon Mayapur? Imagine. So Prabhupada was not like, but because they were not cooperative, so he said, well, okay, I have to start society, new society. But he was not like accusing. He didn't say, okay, I had enough of this. It just like there was nothing else there. Nobody was supporting. So then he had to start a society somehow or other. So he started this society. Yeah. The latest Acharya is always good. Yes, you want to say something?
So you were speaking about heresy, and I have remembered the story. There was a Sidhuti in one books on the square, the foreign square, and there was standing one man, and he was shouting. He wasn't doing anything, but he was simply shouting and looking at the people how they reacted. Nobody saw they were trying to not to come, not to approach him, shouting, and I was distributing just not far from him, looking at me, shouting, shouting. No reaction from my side, yes. And then he left. The next day I was again in Bonn, and he came without shouting, without anything, and he was crying. He told me about his life. He took a book and he took donations because this from my experience, maybe it's not correct, and I'm sorry. The people sometimes they so want, the mind doesn't allow, and then comes this fiction.
Yes.
That's why they're harassing, because the soul is always ready.
Harassing.
Yes, to get mercy, but they are not, how to say, ready yet. That's
Yes.
why I see it much in the street. The people they want, and because they see that. Next time.
Yeah. Nobody
So
can.
I'm sorry for disturbing. I want to tell this.
Yes. Very good point. That's no matter what the situation is, nobody can stop our chanting. Nobody, even if your jaw is broken, like this sannyasis once I was in Mumbai, and he had an accident, his jaw was broken, he couldn't open his mouth. He said he was chanting 16 rounds in his mind. So nobody can stop you chanting Hare Krishna. Nobody can stop us, anything really. So the point is here not to understand that everything comes from Krishna. We should accept everything as prasadam of Krishna. If somebody is criticized or offend us, who said this? If somebody criticizes you, he takes your bad karma. So it's also good for you, for your purification. So, but we should at the same time, we should fully, as this verse says, fully dependent and wait for the Krishna's mercy, and patiently suffer the reactions of our past karma. That's all. But it doesn't mean that we should not be active. Just no envious. Okay, anything else? Or should we close the day? Maharaj, would you like to say anything else?
What is it? The number of the verse?
Statenu Kampan Susanik Shamanam. It's 10, 14, 8. 10, 14, 8. Tatenu Kampam Susumik Shamanam. This is a very good, very nice verse. So let's read it one more time. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering reactions of the past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisance within his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Srila Prabhupada ki jai ho. Bhakti Maharaj is here.